For the next 9 days, I'm attempting one of the most iconic hikes on Earth.
No need to worry, no need to panic.
This is the Tour du Mont Blanc. 180 kilometers circling Europe's tallest mountain.
This very second is one of the best moments of my life.
My journey begins here, in a small French village not far from Chamonix. And the hike will take me across 3 separate countries: France, Italy, and Switzerland.
Have you ever seen such a beautiful morning in all of your life?
Along the way, I'll face over 10,000 meters of elevation, scorching summer heat, sudden alpine storms, and the mental battle of putting one foot in front of the other day after day, with the hopes and dreams of finishing this epic hike. The TMB is just pure magic. This is going to be an emotional roller coaster, and I'd love for you to join me. Right, let's begin. Okay, welcome to a little village in the French Alps called Les Houches, and the beginning, the starting point for the world famous Tour du Mont Blanc, an absolutely gargantuan hike that starts in this little village and loops around the French Alps, into the Italian Alps, across and up and around into the Swiss Alps, and then back around here to Les Houches in France. 3 countries, 9 days, and I've woken up with a flu. This is the famous starting point, this little archway here. This is where you come and take a picture before you begin, and I would imagine when you finish, you would look slightly more tired than how happy and smiley everybody is on day 1. The sun is peeking through the clouds behind me, and the Massif itself, Mont Blanc Massif, is a ginormous rock with dozens of peaks. The tallest, somewhere up there, is Mont Blanc, the tallest peak, not just here in France, but in Europe. Another advantage of coming on this particular week is it's the ultimate Tour du Mont Blanc. So there are lots of hikers, there are lots of runners, there are lots of racers over the next 4 or 5 days. And on Friday, so in 2 days from now, it's the ultimate marathon, one of the most famous long distance races in the world. And they actually run the entire Mont Blanc loop in one go without sleeping. And I think like the world record's like 22 hours or something, which is insane. So we'll keep our eye out for the ultra marathon runners in a couple of days. I think we'll be somewhere in Italy by that point. Anyway, should we get going? Okay. We've officially begun the Mont Blanc loop. Yeah, it felt great to be finally on the trail and to begin the TMB. The first morning session was actually really difficult. There are loads of signposts on the TMB, so I had to learn which ones I should follow, and we began with a brutal climb. There was about 600 meters of elevation between me and the highest point on day 1, and yeah, I was starting to feel like I was very underprepared.
I know once I get to the top and I'll have a rest and have a drink, I'll snap out of it. But day 1, I definitely already had a moment where I was like, I think I've bitten off more than I can chew. Look at that view.
Yeah, the views might be beautiful, but the reality of the TMB was quickly becoming apparent. This first steep climb was kicking my ass, and I was starting to have second thoughts. Because I'd woken up with a bit of a fever, I knew something was wrong, but this just felt like I was really struggling, like I was really unfit, or just really underprepared. I'd heard the TMB was hard, and it's only going to get harder than this. So there was a little bit of panic settling in.
I'm starting to think I'm not as fit as I thought I was. Oh. One t-shirt soaked to the bone. These flies are so annoying. I'm a sweaty mess. I almost taste so salty, so delicious. Basically, at the highest point, so that's the hardest part done. It's just been 1 hour like this, struggling on day one. I promise you, I'm not going to be whinging and moaning the entire way around this hike. I am a very positive-minded person. It's just sometimes my little devil on this shoulder can shout a lot louder than the angel over here. And sometimes that kind of comes through. So I promise you, I'll share my emotions. But I did have a hiccup back then. I really thought, this is not for me. Let's turn back. Let's go back to La Houche and let's go skiing or something. Even though it's August. Anyway. First bit of rain. You can hear it coming through the trees here. I'm not going to bother putting my rain jacket on because it doesn't feel that heavy. And this is where I get my trusty umbrella. I get so many comments about this when I go hiking, but this works. This works. Obviously, if it's really exposed and windy, then I wear my rain jacket because the umbrella would just blow away. But when it's just spitting, you'd be amazed at how effective a little umbrella, $5 from Decathlon, you would be amazed at how effective it is at just keeping you dry. The trusty umbrella. Look, it works, okay? It's protecting me from the rain, but it's not exactly protecting me from looking like a complete idiot. Nothing says rugged outdoorsman like carrying a little umbrella in the drizzle. But for me, honestly, I prefer holding a little umbrella, staying dry, whilst remaining cool with just a t-shirt and shorts on. The second I put on a rain jacket in these hot, humid, steep mountains, I'm only going to sweat and exhaust myself even more. Quite the hot, humid, wet, difficult first morning session. Whew. Yeah, thankfully the hardest part was now over and I was coming down into the valleys in this beautiful rainy afternoon. Found a little bus stop to have my lunch, and in one of the villages in the valley I resupplied with some canned drinks and some electrolytes because I didn't realise how much I'd be sweating here in the summer. And after several more hours I finally arrived at my accommodation, so let's get checked in and see what we've got in store. 701, this is me. And she said I was in bed A. Wow, I get my own room. That is such a touch. A lot of people do the Tour du Mont Blanc and they carry tents and they camp along the way. And you can reserve places in the campsites, which this is one, and you can also wild camp. I decided to go with a company that, you know, pre-book your accommodation because I don't want to have to carry all my stuff again. I would much rather just hike to a hut and have my dinner and my breakfast made for me. Voila. Shower. Let's get sorted. I was really impressed by this accommodation. I didn't know it at the time, but this was the only time on the hike that I'd have my own private room. Usually I'd be stuffed in a dorm room, but more about those later. One thing that all of the accommodations had in common was a 3-course meal put on every day for all of the hikers staying here. All the accommodations have snacks and drinks available for an added cost, and you can get beers and wines in most of the places and socialise before dinner. Every dinner is a big group affair, and we had a starter of melon and parma ham, a main of chicken curry, and a delicious black chocolate gâteau with cold custard for dessert. Very posh, once you've had a fill of food and you've had a quick chat with a few people, most people get off to bed before 9. Sleep is such an important part of recovery, and we've got another big day tomorrow.
Okay, welcome to day 2. Had a great night's sleep, out like a light in that warm, cozy cabin. And we've woken up this morning and had a lovely breakfast, boiled eggs, yogurt, and 2 big hot pots of coffee. Unfortunately, this is the weather today. It's forecast to rain the entire day. Tonight I'll be sleeping in a cabin at 2,600 meters. So we've got 1,500 meters of elevation plus today, which is triple what we had yesterday. So even though it's quite easy to navigate, we are just following this valley, going up and up and up. It's going to be a slog. I've got my trusty umbrella and my rain jacket at hand for when it does start to rain again. The forecast says rain all day. Hello, little pony. Aww, so cute. Beautiful. Okay, I've caught up with the early crowd. There's a beautiful little church here, and everyone who had all of their layers on has decided to take it off. Remember, be bold, start cold, because as soon as you start hiking, you warm up and then you have to pull over, take off your jumper, take off your rain jacket, put it in your bag, and it slows you down. Anyway, there's a beautiful little church here, and the ascent is about to begin on the other side of this bridge. So let's say a little prayer.
All along the Tour du Mont Blanc, you'll stumble across these beautiful alpine churches. Some date back centuries, and they stand quietly here in the valleys as a place of refuge for pilgrims crossing the mountains. A great place to go in, have a little prayer, or a great place to hide if it's pissing down with rain. Simply beautiful, and a nice slice of culture here in the French Alps.
Okay, 4 hours of hiking uphill with 2 pit stops along the way. We're staying at Bonhomme, 4 hours 50. Oh no, this is going to be a long old slog.
Yeah, this afternoon's climb was nothing short of wonderful. It was tricky, it was steep, it was sweaty, but the views along the way were just incredible. I stopped at 2 different refugios to have a drink and a cookie and a coffee and a squashed egg. And after many difficult hours, we had finally made it up to the plateau. The terrible weather had cleared and the blue skies were out, and we were so close to our refugio for the night.
The storm has passed. It is just truly spectacular.
Yeah, it had been a long, wet struggle to get up here, but being rewarded with these fantastic views, it was completely worth it. And just over yonder was our accommodation for the night. Up here, quite high up into the mountains, is the Bonhomme Refuge. By far the best thing about staying up here was the incredible views and the stars at night. But this is one of those accommodations where all of the sweaty, smelly hikers, me included, all sleep and shack together. Now normally it would be time to hit the showers, but this shack didn't have any running hot water, so nobody showered, making the room slightly more fragrant. We all ate together, we had a 3-course meal, and I have to say the food was absolutely shocking. Obviously, they're not going to get the freshest ingredients up here, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but the pea soup was dreadful, the main course was barely edible, and I can't even remember what I had for dessert. Oh yeah, I just skipped it because I was so over the food, and I just wanted to get my head down and have an early night. This accommodation has probably some of the best views on the TMB. Sadly, the food was some of the worst, and that put me in a bad mood, so let's sleep it off and get some rest, because we got a big old day tomorrow.
Okay, good morning. Day 3, and we are leaving France today and we're heading into Italy, and look at the weather. It is outrageously beautiful this morning. We woke up and we had breakfast here at the Bonhomme Refugio up here at 2,000 and something meters. It was a brisk night, but we were nice and warm and cozy under some woolen blankets. Anyway, we've got a long slog today. Down and up and down and up again. But look at the weather. It's alive and well. So, let's put one foot in front of the other and let's get down into Italy. Hey! Okay. 1 second. I can't believe that just happened. So they were just hiking, right? And then he said to me, "Excuse me, mate, could you take a picture of us?" And I was like, "Yeah, no worries." And he got down on one knee and he said, "You know, I love you and I want to get married and I want to have kids with you. Will you marry me?" Wow, what a beaut. And I was so nervous because they have an Android phone and I didn't know how to use it, and he started to get down on one knee and it went out of focus. Oh my god, I was panicking. Oh, congratulations to that beautiful couple. Ah! It's a cold one.
Yeah, what a beautiful start to the day, and what a beautiful morning we were having. Up over this ridge was our first uninterrupted view of Mont Blanc itself. With these clear skies and these beautiful valleys below us, we were going to have uninterrupted views the entire day, and I could not wait to get a move on.
One of the options on the TMB is to have mule support. That's a mule, half horse, half donkey. She's a beaut and she's carrying a group's bags for them. I'll let you guess where they come from. You know where they come from, right? From this point on, it's all downhill for a few hours, which I'm quite happy about. It might be a bit slippy in these conditions, but with a view of Mont Blanc on the way down, you can't complain, can you?
Yeah, coming down this valley with such beautiful weather, I was on cloud 9.
So this is actually a variant. This is an optional. It's actually considered a shortcut because it cuts a little bit of distance. And I feel sorry for all the people who decided to go down and not come up here, because there was quite a bit of rumour in the Refugio that it's really slippery and quite dangerous. And to be fair, it was a little bit dodgy up there, but very easily done. This is a highlight moment right now. Let's just breathe this in. Incredible.
Yeah, the sun was out and I had a huge climb ahead of me, but with these views, the afternoon flew by, and before long, I'd made it up to the highest point and the border of France and Italy.
Okay, I found a nice little flat section here, and I think it's the perfect opportunity to say a big thank you to the sponsor of this hike, Klook. Now, I've talked about Klook before because I love using them. They are the ultimate travel app and website to book your experiences and your travels. And yes, this includes amazing experiences here in Europe. So let's say you're planning a trip to the Alps, but you don't really fancy doing the TMB. It's quite a big commitment, isn't it? Well, on Klook, they have everything from scenic train journeys, gondola rides up to the mountain peaks, paragliding, guided hikes, museum passes. The possibilities are almost endless on Klook. What I really like every time I book something on Klook is its instant confirmation via email. You get your ticket sent to you, which you can download onto your phone, and you'll have no problems entering into the activities. And you can pre-book things ahead of time, so there's no queuing at some of the most popular destinations, especially here in Europe. So whether you're coming to Europe or Asia or further afield, make sure you download the Klook app or visit the Klook website linked in the description and the pinned comment below. And if you use my code, you can unlock some extra discounts on certain specific activities and experiences. Thank you to Klook for sponsoring the TMB. And let's continue as we make our way, I think right now, literally into Italy. Here we are. Wow, let's go. Come on. Mont Blanc, Italian border, hikers who are stronger and fitter than me who've made it, and the valley behind that we dominated.
This handsome devil was making a coffee on top of the mountain, and he even offered to pour me a cup. Oh, that is coffee porn right there.
There you go, mate.
Merci beaucoup. Wow, that's a unique taste.
This was by far the highlight of this first part of the hike. Fresh air in my lungs, my blood pumping around my body, and with these uninterrupted views of Mont Blanc, the Massif, and the valleys below, life was good. This was actually the border of France and Italy, so we were now in our second country, and so me and all of the other hikers who'd made it all the way up here sat here to have a coffee, to have lunch, and to just take in this incredible view. Thank God we were having such beautiful weather. My accommodation wasn't too far away now, about 90 minutes down the valley across the Italian countryside now, and the views the entire way down were simply breathtaking. Welcome to my accommodation on day 3, a beautiful wooden lodge surrounded by glaciers, mountain peaks, and even a bit of swampland. This was one of the most scenic places we stayed on the entire loop. Right, let's get checked in, let's have a hot shower for a change, and let's hope we get better food served to us tonight.
Ciao, buongiorno. Today. Okay, it feels so good to be in Italy. Great hospitality, and the first refugio is beautiful. Look behind me. This is the room that I'm staying in. There'll be 5 of us in here tonight. There's a hot shower in here, which I cannot wait to have, because we didn't get to have a shower yesterday because bloody solar power. I've decided to pick this bed in the corner, and it comes with a towel. They're gonna cook us a massive feast tonight of pasta, pork chops, and mashed potatoes, and something delicious for dessert. And everyone here just seems really nice, and the refugio is in the most beautiful spot.
Good morning. Just wiping the tears from my eyes because it's cold, not because I'm emotional. Although I have just been watching the ultimate marathon runners doing the TMB. So here we are doing a 9-day walk of the tour, and at the same time, last night the UTMB started, the ultra marathon, the most famous race in the world, and they're doing the entire tour in one day, running it. So there are thousands of runners, and they're making their way up the hill there. There's a refugio perched on the edge of a cliff. That's where we'll be walking this morning. But we ain't running up there. So good luck. boys and girls.
Yeah, I checked out at the lovely Refugio here and had a delicious breakfast, fresh coffee, and within a few minutes of leaving, we were soon joining the UTMB hikers. Now let's stay out of their way and let them get around this course as fast as possible. They'd just completed the high mountain pass from France into Italy through an almighty storm in the middle of the night. So let's stay out of their way as much as possible. Let them recover as we soak up uninterrupted views of Mont Blanc. Half of me wanted to just stay still and admire the views and go slow, but I had to keep going and get out of the way of these hikers who were trying to make it to the next checkpoint before the cutoff.
So these guys have been running for 12, 13 or 14 hours now. They've been running through the night, through the rain. And so for them, this is probably the first time the sun is hitting their faces since last night anyway. So they're just taking this moment to take off some layers, refuel, before they crack on all the way up there. Let's give them some support.
And all of these people you see here, they're really struggling. They're really far back.
Let's go Hong Kong.
And if they don't make it to Courmayeur, the next town, in the next few hours, they will be eliminated. Not only was it magnificent this morning, the weather, the views, but to be able to hike alongside these ultra marathon runners, it was so motivating, it was so uplifting.
There's a beautiful rainbow, a nice moment for the hikers and the runners. I just got signal and I've been checking some of the stories from last night. Sound really, really brutal. These guys have been through it last night by the sound of things.
To think that it's actually possible to do the TMB in one go without sleeping is just a marvel. Over 2,000 runners started this race the previous day, and at this point they've been on the trail now for over 12 hours and it's starting to show.
Okay, just had a lovely chat with that English fella. Apparently last night when they were doing that pass, snow going across their face, freezing cold snowstorm, and apparently it was dark, it was cold, it was freezing, and it was miserable. And there was a few Americans that we just spoke to as well. Most of them are in good spirits because the worst part's over, they said. They ran through the night, through the rain, through the snow, and they said that once we get down the other side of this mountain, that's pretty much the halfway point, and they'll get a nice feed in the town there. They have the big station with lots of food. They have those stations every 2 hours apparently, but there's a big one in the town. And then I continue further up. I'm not quite sure where I'm staying tonight, but somewhere in that valley. Mont Blanc is now hiding, but what a view. What an incredible view this is.
Over 2,000 people started the race, and just over half of that will actually finish. That's how brutal this race is. So my job was to hike in safety, capture some of the views for you because it was one of the highlights of the TMB. But like I said before, stay out of the way as much as possible. As I stopped here for a little snack and a rest, these racers were looking knackered, and if they didn't hurry up, they would be eliminated. And for the next few hours, I took turns in just soaking up the views and having well-deserved rests. And on the downhills, whenever the racers were running past me, sometimes I just felt like joining them. And as a test to myself to see if I can actually keep up with them.
Let's go, buddy.
Even if it is for 5 minutes. As I hiked and sometimes ran down this mountain, we all made our way down to Courmayeur.
Okay, we made it all the way from up there somewhere into the town. Let's find a spot for lunch. Let's resupply and then let's continue. Hey! Let's go, Mike. It's a really pretty little village, actually.
Courmayeur is a stunning little village here in Italy. Ancient architecture, delicious food and restaurants on every corner, loads of places to resupply, and a great spot on a day like today to just take it easy, take a few hours off being on the hiking trail. So let's go find a cool place to hang out, find some food, and treat ourselves a little bit, as this is the first big town that we're passing through.
Okay, that was a lovely, well-deserved, relaxing afternoon in that beautiful town. A great bit of lunch and just a relaxing few hours listening to that angel singing her heart out in the piazza. Right, we're heading to Refugio Bertone. Says it's about an hour 45, and with it being such a gorgeous afternoon, what's the rush?
Yeah, the hike up out of Courmayeur to my refugio for the night was a brutal 800 meter or so climb. But I was glad to get this section done at the end of the day, and the views along the way up to my refugio were simply out of this world. So yeah, welcome to Refugio Bertone, home for tonight, and at 2,000 meters, really high up with incredible views of Courmayeur down below and all of the mountains that we'd been hiking over for the past few days. Yeah, this was another fantastic refugio, and this time the food was incredible. We had such a feast and we had an amazing afternoon. The sunset was incredible. So let's get our heads down and get some rest, because we've got a big, beautiful day's hike ahead of us tomorrow.
And yeah, I'll catch up with you again tomorrow. We got quite an easy day in comparison. It's a long, flat 4 or 5 hours and then a big climb. Right, see you tomorrow. There's a big group there that have a big mule carrying goods and food. That is an option, by the way, if you're doing the TMB. You can join a group tour with a guide and a mule, and the mule will carry some of the load, but they all still have to carry their own bags. But not something I'm interested in, but maybe you guys want to lighten the load. I navigate on maps.me, but the trail is very well signposted, except for right here. I didn't know whether to go that way or this way, but maps.me is telling me go that way. And since we've got such beautiful weather, and since once we do get over this little mound, it should be nothing but highlight after highlight.
If your main reason for doing the TMB is to take incredible photographs of landscapes and to soak up and create memories in one of the most beautiful places in the world, then pray for good weather on this section of the hike. for this 10-kilometer stretch, it's mostly flat and acts as a bit of a balcony. On the right-hand side, you'll have a hill, and on the left, you'll have uninterrupted views of Mont Blanc and the Massif itself. And thank the gods, the weather today was beautiful. Yes, this was a highlight of the TMB. This entire day, this whole balcony hike where you have uninterrupted views of the Mont Blanc Massif to your left, it was nothing short of incredible. This was truly the highlight for me of the entire TMB. It was flat, it was scenic, and I'll never forget this 4 or 5 hour section.
Okay, that refuge was amazing. Great staff, incredible lunch buffet, and just a nice place to relax, man. Had a nice hour here, half an hour in the waterfall, soaking my feet, soaking up the sun on the grass outside, enjoying this absolutely incredible valley. Woo! And of course, putting off the inevitable, which is the hardest part of today, which is hiking up this mountain behind me, up and over into Switzerland, about another 6 kilometers. I wouldn't mind a little bit of cloud coverage actually, because it started to get quite brutal. I've applied sun cream for the 5th time today.
If you've ever done a multiple day hike, then you'll know after a few days you start to build up strength and endurance. And after that beautiful morning session and a great lunch and the weather still being absolutely glorious, I was feeling happy, I was feeling motivated, I was feeling strong and powerful. This was one of the highlights of the TMB, and if you couple that with the views all around us today, I mean, it was an out-of-body experience.
This doesn't happen very often, but I'm walking down a valley in Switzerland. There are marmots running around, there are birds flying, and my music is on fire. There's Limp Bizkit, there's Oasis, there's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So many great memories from these songs, these concerts that I've been to as a young man. All of my memories of being young and just being into so much rock and roll, and it's blasted in my ear as I'm walking through the Swiss Alps, coming into my 40s, and it is just such a moment of like, I had no idea who I was when I was in my 20s, no idea of where to go, no idea what I was going to end up doing. I was confused, I was drinking, I was working in bars, and I was just an absolute nightmare. I was having a good time though, don't get me wrong. If I could have just told myself, Paddy, when you're nearly 40, you're going to be making money, you're going to be having a business that lets you go to the Swiss Alps to rock out to this kind of music. And, you know, all you have to do is share it with the people that watch you. Share the experience, share the thrill, share the ups and downs, give them information, but also just let them smile. And I'm doing that now. And I just want to say a big thank you. This is one of those moments where it all just comes at me, the emotion of life. And this very second is one of the best moments of my life. And I just thought I'd randomly share that with you. Right, let's get to this refugio. Let's have a shower.
Yeah, what an epic day. And I made it down to our accommodation. We were staying in a converted dairy farm. So we were sleeping in a barn, but it was beautiful. The food was incredible. They had the best food on the entire hike. And the best part was they had this delicious homemade ice cream straight from the raw cow's milk into the ice cream machine itself. Pure heaven. What a day. I'll never forget it. And in typical TMB style, I woke up the next morning and the weather was absolutely shite.
It might be miserable, but it's still absolutely incredibly beautiful. And just like that, the Swiss Alps has some more plans for us involving crap weather. Have a look at this. It was blowing a gale, it was pissing down rain all night, and we've woken up to a terrible forecast of lots of rain, lots of wind. Luckily it's just a bit drizzle at the minute, but we've all had a lovely breakfast and we're all starting to leave in drips and drabs.
First slip and fall of the day, thanks to this slippy little ledge here, and I kind of grazed my arm on the rock. Oh, that's going to be a nice little shiner, as we say in England. Bit of a bruise, looks like it's pierced the skin. Okay, dust yourself off. Stay alert, because it's going to be a slippy one.
Yeah, battered and bruised, I made my way down through the rain and I was covered in mud by the time I got to the bottom. Then I passed through a town where most hikers actually cheated and got on a bus. But no, not us. I braved the terrible weather and walked through a magical Christmas tree forest. And actually, today was one of the best days of the TMB. So if you are doing it, don't cheat, don't get the bus. Do this section. It's actually a beautiful little highlight.
I have to say, this forest is enchanted. It is magnificent. Have a listen. If only you guys could smell it. Just so amazing. I know smell doesn't translate on YouTube, but I wish it did.
So this gorgeous little Swiss village was the home of a delicious cheese and mushroom omelette, a delicious cappuccino, but they didn't take card. And I only had 20 euros on me. Thankfully, one of the other hikers on the TMB paid for me. And I'm gonna get the cash point down in the next town. Look at this, guys. I have no words.
I come back. As I say, I've done lots of other places.
Right, we've made it to Chamex, a scenic little village on a lake. Good spot for me to go to the ATM to get some cash, because I owe one of the hikers some money for lunch and I need some cash on hand. And another excuse maybe to get a Twix bar or something sugary. Not far now. We've got to kind of like go up that cloud-filled valley, get on the variant, and then our refugio for the night is a little bit up there. I'm tempted to hang out at this lake for a bit, but not much going on. Look at this! Woo! Home for the night is just around the corner. Can you believe it? Look at this! Come on now, Switzerland. Stop taking the piss. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be a wrap for part 2 of the TMB. I've just checked into the Arpete and I've got a lovely little bunk bed, and there's an American guy in there having a nap, so I'm not going to film it. But I had the best shower of the entire hike. This place looks fancy. I'll show you some footage now of the buffet dinner that we have later and the buffet breakfast tomorrow. And we have an exciting part of the TMB tomorrow. We're going up super high for an adventurous variant. Apparently there's some scrambling involved and climbing ladders. Hopefully the weather plays game and we can do it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the TMB. This is the final part of our hike. We are leaving Switzerland this morning and we've got quite the adventure going up a mountain. There's some scrambling involved, some bouldering. It's going to be very, very steep, a little bit dangerous, but it's going to be incredibly beautiful. It's one of those variants that is only accessible in good weather, but we're forecast for decent weather, so we're going to give it a go. Although there's about 200 people who stayed here last night, and only about 3 or 4 of us are doing the variant today, so maybe that's a sign that it's a stupid idea. But you know, if you don't risk it, you'll never get the biscuit. I'm just going to say goodbye to a few of my friends that I've seen multiple times on the TMB, but we've just figured out that this will be the last time we see each other. One of the best things about doing the TMB, even alone like I am, is it's so social. Every night you're in a different refuge with 50 to 100 people having dinner, playing cards, having a drink, and sharing stories of the trail. So you're never alone. Right guys, it's been a pleasure. Good to meet you, mate.
Take care, gentlemen.
Yeah, and
Are you following Newcastle?
yes.
Take care.
Take care, mate.
Great to meet you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
How you on?
Yeah, the previous night at dinner, I'd met these two young strapping lads. One 18-year-old from the UK who's doing the TMB completely on his own, even though he's still a teenager, bless him, and a 23-year-old from America. Even though he was young, he has loads of experience, and he was an ex-professional footballer, ex-professional ballet dancer, just an all-rounder. So at dinner, we all thought, let's stick together, let's do this dodgy, difficult variant as a team. In case one of us gets into trouble, there'll at least be two more people around to help us get out of any sticky situation.
The boulder section has begun. Whew, feels good to get onto a little bit more of an advanced trail and get off onto a variant. A bit cloudy still, so let's hope it's clear at the top.
Even the people at the refuge had told us, be careful, make sure you know what you're doing, because they know lots of people who come up here underestimate it and get into quite a bit of mischief.
It's good to get off the trail though, isn't it? It's excellent fun. You can see it's going to go up and up and up. I'm bleeding. I don't know how. So these markers are the trail for us now. You can see them painted on the sides of rocks, up and around. The trail has now just become a rocky mess. This is the bit that I think most people are put off by, because if you were up here in high winds and in the rain, it would be quite silly.
Now I'm pushing 40, so trying to keep up with an 18-year-old and a 23-year-old was quite the challenge, but I did my best to keep up with them as we scrambled and clambered over these rocks.
Go on, son. High five. Yeah. Maybe not. This is by far and away the most difficult and steepest part. You know, that scramble across the rocks there, that was pretty sketchy. I hope you can see this on camera. It's like that.
And yeah, this was definitely the hardest scrambling, the hardest hiking I've ever done. Coming up here was a challenge, and I was really glad that I wasn't alone.
That's the top. My calves are on absolute fire. If this was wet and slippy, all this mud would be coming away. There'd be a lot more rocks falling down. We just had a really scary moment where he kicked a rock and it started running down the hill, and he shouted at us, and we saw it coming, a big rock flying towards us, and we ducked down and it flew over our heads. Very, very fortunate. Almost there, lads. Last push.
Yeah, just up over this edge would be the highest point of the variant, and we would have finished this brutal, this difficult climb in these freezing conditions up here at well over 2,600 meters. Normally, any hike where you gain 1,000 meters of elevation is really difficult, but doing it in less than 90 minutes, it felt like it was practically vertical the entire time. But hey, we had made it.
All right, welcome to the top of the variant. We made it all the way. It's a pity that there isn't any view, but what can you do? The mountains can be temperamental. 2,600 meters up here. This is the highest point, and we've been scrambling now for the best part of an hour. It was tricky. I did get the drone up for it, but wasn't the best footage in this fog. Up here, as you can imagine, it's quite bitter, so we've got layers on. There's a few other people here who are having their lunch, and we have to scramble all the way down into the next village of Triant. High five, buddy. Good job. Let's go. Guys, it's clearing up just as we've come down the summit. Look.
Oh, there's a lake over there.
we were so lucky. Just as we were coming down from the summit, the clouds and the fog cleared, revealing the beautiful glacier that we had been scrambling and climbing right next to. Hence why it had been so cold up there.
I hope the French guys got to see this. They looked freezing.
Of course, it was difficult coming down, but with these views and the fact that we can now see properly where we were going, this descent was just beautiful and fun. And yeah, we just had the best time coming down this valley. By early afternoon, we had made it down the variant and back onto the TMB itself, and it was beautiful. And eventually we arrived at Trient, the home for the night, and I was struggling at this point. Trying to keep up with those two lads had certainly taken its toll. I was completely knackered. This was my refuge for tonight, a beautiful hotel actually. But the second I put my head down for a little nap, I did not wake back up until the following day. I was that knackered. The next day I was completely knackered, so I changed plans. I actually decided to deviate off the TMB and do a 14-kilometer long cut. So I'm adding a lot of distance today, but I was cutting out a huge mountain climb because later, as you'll see in a second, we've got a really difficult, technical, steep mountain pass to tackle later in the day, and I just wanted to save my energy. So 3.5 hours later, I'd finally made it to the afternoon session.
Okay, so we've made it to the proper section. We're back on the TMB on an alternative, or a variant I should say. Only on the TMB would you do a 14-kilometer, 3.5 hour detour to save energy. So this trail will take us up onto a plateau where there are several lakes and my refugio, but it will be very steep, over 1,000 meters in elevation. Over the next 2 to 3 hours, we're going to a place called Lake LeBlanc, I think, and on the sign there it's 2 hours 45 minutes. And I think what I'm going to do actually is just have a little bit of lunch. I did nip into a little pub along the way, so I'll have my little croissant, I'll have my little pineapple juice squashed in my bag.
So the reason why people do this variant, it's not technically on the TMB, right, is because there are some very scenic ladders that are bolted into the side of a cliff, and it just adds a new experience and something quite thrilling to the TMB.
Whew. It seems as though we're soon to approach the ladder section. It's starting to get very, very steep. So let's just prepare. Okay, here we are at the ladder section. Now there are 3 ladders straight away, so that's the first 3 to count straight away. A small one, a long one, a medium one. So let's do the first 3 and we'll count them out together so we can learn how many ladders are there. Let's start with number 1. Nice and easy. And here's the beginning of number 2. Bonjour! Ladder number 2. Now these aren't like any ladders in Thailand. They're bolted into the rock. Look at that. Proper good engineering. No need to worry, no need to panic. Easy. Easy peasy. Ladder number 4, look how big this one is. No, it's just a few steps. We're going to count this one. This is ladder number 5. Very cute little ladder. Obviously, if you're afraid of heights, don't come up here. Ladder number 6. Good balance, but you can lean on this. Number 7. I think he's starting to understand why I wanted to save my strength today. This fella looks like he's on a day climb. I'll let him go first. think that was 7. 8, 9. 10. Okay. 11. We won't count these, but I love these little steps. They're very good, very handy. How fun was that? Look at this, we're still not even at the top yet. Down there is a village, and down there is Chamonix. We're nearly there, guys. This time tomorrow, we'll be nearly finished. That was another highlight. The TMB, by the way, just never stops, does it? It never stops. I'll see you at the top. Okay, we made it to the top. There's a little monument here and it's uninterrupted views across the Mastiff. There's Mont Blanc. Now we're seeing her from the backside. I can say her backside is just as lovely as the front.
Yes, safe to say I was knackered. A long morning session and then a difficult ascent and the ladders. I was so glad to be up here on the plateau. Up here there are 4 or 5 small lakes and they are just absolutely beautiful. You'll see eagles, you'll see marmots, you might even see mountain goats up here, but by far the best reason to come up here is just the incredible views and the reflections in the water of the Mastiff itself. You'll see lots of day hikers from Chamonix up here because it's quite accessible. There's a chairlift not too far away, and with these views and these lakes and the distant mountains, especially on a day like today, it was busy, but oh my god, what a beautiful sight. Definitely one of the highlights of the TMB. And if you're in Chamonix and you're just looking for a day hike, come up here, look at it.
Almost there. That's where we're staying, can you believe it? There's the refuge, Lac Blanc. There's the lake, Lac Blanc. This is our playground for this evening. Not bad views. Probably understatement of the year. Okie dokie, welcome to the final refuge of the trip, and quite an interesting refuge. So, big room with bunk beds. I've chosen one. We're all kind of squashed in there, so it'll be quite interesting. Let's hope there's no snorers tonight. The other interesting aspect is there's no shower up here, absolutely no shower, so hoping that we don't smell too bad. This is the outside area. Is that music? Oh, that is music. How weird. As you can see, quite the view. They've got cold beers, but no cold shower, unfortunately. Dinner's at 7, breakfast at 7. So this is us tonight. No Wi-Fi, no showers.
Okay, good morning. And quite the sunrise we've had up here this morning. I watched the first half from my bed because there was a view of a window. Now I've come out here and oh my god, it is, I mean, look at it. Have you ever seen such a beautiful morning in all of your life? Today is the last day of the TMB. It's day 9. Woo-hoo! Back to La Houche. Back to the start point, back to that sign that we saw 9 days ago when we set off. And we will complete the loop and we will finish the TMB. Let's have some breakfast. Let's have a lazy morning up here, enjoy the views, and then we'll get cracking. Even on day 9, the TMB just doesn't stop. Like 2 females and a baby, because the male has huge horns. This is awesome. That's it. Beautiful. I finally got to see them in the wild on the last day. It's amazing how the weather can change on a dime here, because after that beautiful sunrise, a little bit of breakfast, it has worsened quite significantly. Lots of rain on the big peaks and forecasted storms. So I am covered up. It is a bit nippy up here. So let's just take one last look at the view. I'm sure we're going to have lovely views on the way down, but this will be the last time we can really enjoy it, because obviously on the way down you're checking your feet, making sure not to slip and fall. It would be a disaster. It would be a shame to get injured on the last day. So let's just take our time and look at the Mastiff one last time, uninterrupted, from this incredible viewpoint on this rock. Storms are due late afternoon, so let's just let's not linger. This has been, without doubt, and I'm not saying this just to say it, but the best hike I have ever done, bar none. And it's also been the hardest hike. I mean, we've done 10,000 meters of elevation. That's like climbing Mount Everest and another 1/3 of Everest in 9 days, which is no mean feat. Just another one of the epic views here. And do you know what? I normally would never say this, right? But we're about to finish, and all I want to do is carry on. Like I'd love to do it again. I would love to reach La Houche. Don't get me wrong, I'd love a shower in my own bed for a night, because that's probably the hardest thing, is like the constant staying in a dorm room. Because physically, it's such a challenge. But for me, it's like, you know, there's people snoring. You're quite claustrophobic every night. That's the only big struggle, other than the physical challenge.
I have never felt stronger. If you remember on day one, I was in a big mess. I was going up that hill and I was thinking I'm not going to be able to do this. I just felt so out of shape. And that's quite normal on a big hike to feel out of shape on day one. It is a bit of a shock to the system, but I felt sluggish. But with each day I grew stronger. My legs didn't grow weary, they grew in strength. And here on day 9, I've never felt better. My back just feels ripped. My legs are not sore. They're strong. My feet are not aching. They're primed. I would honestly love nothing more than just to do it all again. But yeah, let me just leave you with some scenes as we go down, and then we'll finish the entire video and the series down by the final point in La Houche. Never underestimate the TMB. I thought it would be easy, but no. That is where we were hours ago, and I thought we'd be in the tree line by now, but it's taking us back up. I don't know where we're going, but the TMB, the easy day, ain't so easy. They've even got us climbing ladders on the final stretch. Only on the TMB do you climb the equivalent of Ben Nevis, the tallest mountain in the UK, in Scotland, right? Only on the TMB would you climb Ben Nevis on the way down. Bloody hell. Do not ask me where I got the energy to run the last 3k. I mean, I'm just jogging it. But I just feel
Yeah, I don't know where I got the energy from, but towards the end of the day, when I was 3 or 4 kilometers away from La Houche, away from the finish line, I got this sudden urge to start running.
big finish. TMB. Completed it, mate. All right. We have 2 ice cold beers, 0.0, on deck with a little bit of ice. Don't hate me, but that's how we do it here in Asia, even though we're in France. Right, let's actually go over the distance and figure out exactly how far we walked doing the TMB. Right, I'm going to do this live on my fitness app. This is the thing that's been tracking my steps and my distance today, well, every day, in my pocket. So day 1 on a Wednesday, we did 20.6 kilometers. That's the day I thought I was going to quit. Then on Thursday, 13.18k. Friday, 20.82 kilometers. Saturday, 21.3 kilometers. Sunday, 23.53 kilometers. Monday, 24.58. Tuesday, easy day that day, 14.78. Yesterday, Wednesday, 21.07 kilometers. And today, the final day, was a bloody old slog. 23.42 kilometers. And you can see as well on each one of those days the activity line, so you can see which, like we were hiking from 6 till like 4 most days, pretty much. They were big days. And I've gone to the trouble of screenshotting It was 183.28 kilometers. 183 we did. Everyone will be slightly different. Some will do 170, some will do 190. We did 183. And we also did 290,000 steps. Cheers, big ears. Thank you so much for joining me on the TMB. It was absolutely incredible. And I wish I could do it again. But someone's got to go back to Thailand and have some adventures.